All right, 94.3 WYBC, the rhythm of the city, Juan Castillo. It is one-on-one along with my man Marquette Sutton here, man. The professional Sutton in the building. And we've got, we've got Scott Burrell here in the building, man. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good. I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know for Marquette, this is the holy grail because, he's a 49ers fan and football aficionado, and of course he got the draft going on right now, so he's losing his mind right about now.
Yeah, he wants to be watching that draft.
Yeah.
No, listen, I am on with a CT legend, so I am fine.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool. So listen, man, let's get started from the beginning, man. Like tell us about how did you get into basketball? I know your dad was involved with a lot, tell us about that.
Just I think sports are a great avenue for competition, to learn, to get better, to grow, learn responsibilities. So obviously, like you said, my dad was a coach in New Haven and Yale for many years, and I just wanted that competition. I watched my family being involved for so much, involved in it for so long. I just want to be a part of it.
Right, that's great. So now, so I know you also played baseball. Now, did you start those two sports when you were young?
Yeah, I started baseball when I was like five or six. Okay. I remember a little story when I was growing up. I think maybe I've been 6 years old. My brother played in the Little League, and I wanted to join his team, but I was too young. So they signed me up early, and I played a few games, and I played pretty good. But then they found out I was too young, so they kicked me off the team. So yeah. I came home and told my parents. They found out, and I was crying, and they ended up finding out I was too young, so I had to get out of the league.
Right.
Yeah.
So you went through middle school and all of that, and then so when did you decide that basketball and baseball, I'm going to take both of those through? You got to make a conscious decision to do that.
Yeah, in high school I played all three: basketball, baseball, and football. But I didn't want to play. I loved all three of them, but I just thought, I looked at what's going to be best as a college athlete, number one, and number two, if I had a chance to play professional sports, what would I have the best to be successful in? Right. And football, I loved it. I loved the competition. I loved the contact of it. But you only play 13 games, 11 games at the most, 13 at the most. And if you lose two, your season's over most of the time, because you got to go undefeated and you practice all those times for 13 games. And I just felt like that's an unfair sport. You could be a great team. You might have two bad games, and your season shouldn't be over because 2 bad games. But that's the way football is. So that's one reason why I didn't play. I continued with football. But I love baseball as well. But I just think the competition of playing against the best every night drove me. And I was never the best probably at basketball. And I definitely wasn't the best, but I just love the competition of competing and playing against guys who are better, just trying to raise my level to compete against those guys.
Well, Marquette, you got a question, because I know we were just talking about during his time, there were some monsters out there.
Man, so growing up, that's all I heard about Scott Burrell and CT Sports, man. Growing up and playing Connecticut basketball, how was it back then for the 80s and 90s? I just heard stories, man.
Oh, yeah, it was a beast. New Haven had so much talent. Bridgeport had so much talent. And Hamden, we played all the best schools in Bridgeport, all the best schools in New Haven. We played the best talent. So, New Haven, you had Maurice. Cross was – Hillhouse was one of the best teams in the country my freshman or sophomore year of high school.
Who was there during that time? Who was there?
Hillhouse had Brockenberry, Cleo Cooper, McCleason and Adams were at Cross.
Theron Mays was at Hillhouse.
Theron Mays was at Hillhouse, yeah. Jeter.
Yeah.
They had those guys had so much talent, but that's what drove me to be better. The talent of playing against those guys, being obviously from the small town of Hamden, they were our neighbors, and you didn't want to get dominated by them. So you had to be better, you had to be tougher. And I love the challenge of going into their gyms too, trying to beat those guys. Don't forget West Haven. West Haven was even good back at that time. Right. So you had 3 guys in a district league, 3 schools in district league that were 3 of the best that I've ever played in high school. Then when you go out to Bridgeport, you play Harding, you play Bassick. You have another group of great schools. So it was fun. Connecticut basketball was big time back then. But that was before all the prep schools too that took the best talent. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
And I also think kids were devoted to being great basketball players, and they didn't have so many other things, other avenues, or other things that deterred them from being great.
Now that was during the era of a lot of banging. The NBA was banging.
Oh yeah.
So so the high school was banging.
Oh yeah.
So very rough game. Refs weren't calling it. That's
Yeah.
what it was, right?
You had to be tough. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now speaking of deterrent, you were almost a Miami Hurricane.
Yeah.
You were almost a Hurricane playing
I
baseball.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what made you stay home and local?
I think I verbally committed to Miami, but I think UConn put a lot of pressure on me and my family. How important it is to stay home. How important it is to keep the best players and stay home and the future after playing. And I think it paid off. Me staying home, playing at UConn, helped me get the job I have now, being the head coach at Southern Connecticut. If I played at Miami, I don't know if that path would have ended up being the same way. I don't know if I would have played in the NBA. I might have played baseball at Miami. That's what I was getting recruited for, and that's why I went down there first. And I committed to play baseball. So, I mean, I think the path I took was a great path, and it made me happy. But if I took a different road, I think my path would have been totally different.
So how so by going to UConn, you think you is prepare you to be a coach? Talk about that.
I just think, coach, number one, your name stays in state. Some people want to leave the state to get away from here, but I think being from the state, people know how much I gave to UConn, how much effort, and I helped to try to build that school to put it where it is now. I think that people appreciate that, and we had some great years there, which you create a legacy, you're part of something, you build something in your home state, and people remember that. So that helps you when you want a job. People know the name, they're familiar with what you've done. They know your character, and it makes it easier to get a job. Plus I think winning a championship helps me. I mean, there's a lot of situations where if I didn't win a championship, I probably wouldn't be a head coach right now. It's hard for African American people to get coaching jobs, no matter.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate the opportunity to get this job. And I thank my athletic director Jay Moran who thought about this and gave me the opportunity.
Right. Quick.
So growing up, I know that there was the past, Leitner, and Grant Hill, but before that, man, it was Burrell to Tate. Tell us about that one, because as a Connecticut kid, I know we got that game with Duke, but you guys were the original, past team. Tell us about that game. 1 second left.
I fouled out like a couple minutes before that, so it was harder for me to just sit on the bench watching it. Yeah. But you're playing against a team that every year has a chance to go to Final Four. The referees love them. America loves them. They're America's team. And you just have a chance to knock them off. And we're like the new upcoming team on new kid on the block, and you're on the doorstep of winning, getting to the Final Four. And the game 4 we won at the buzzer, so we're making it. We're destined to make it. And the next second, 1 second on the clock, 1.6, Tate has the ball on the sideline, drops it, goes out of bounds, and they give him one more chance. And the team with the last shot has an opportunity. Later throws a pass in, steps in, they throw a pass back to him, and he does a little runner floater. And knocks it down. It's like you're one step away from reaching your dream in college basketball, and boom, it's taken away like that. But to be honest, it parallels life. You take the wrong path in life, changes stuff. Stuff changes fast. That's why a lot of things are luck. Put yourself in the right position. We did to win that game, but it was just luck wasn't on our side that Tate didn't catch the ball in the state, or if it bounced off Tate's arms, it bounces in bounds instead of rolling out of bounds, or we go to the Final Four. That's why sports parallels life, and that's what I love about sports.
Right. College really developed you as a defensive player, because you worked real hard at that. Can you talk about that?
Because that's a great question too. Me playing 3 sports, I never got a chance to work on my basketball skills. So, but I knew my effort can determine. I could dictate what I want to do, or dictate how I was going to be, or how they were going to be if I played hard. So I knew if I played hard and competed, I can stop someone on defense. So that's why I knew that's where my niche was at first. Then I realized you better score if you want more minutes, number one. And if you want to get to another, you got to score. But I always wanted to be a great defensive player, because dominating your opponent and looking at your opponent's face and seeing them wilt slower by slow, like as the game goes on, you have them mentally, you have them physically. Now you can just have fun and score at the other end.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's when I was at UConn. We played great team defense.
Absolutely.
That's why we're like top 3 in the country. That's why we're number 3 in the country or something like that year, my freshman year.
Marquette.
And you know what? Speaking of domination, you were the only player to be selected in the first round of a MLB draft and also an NBA draft.
Right.
Tell us about like your dedication to just want to be just overall just a good athlete, but also a great person.
Yeah, I think great person comes from family. I think learning my morals and values came from my parents. Always be kind, be thoughtful. Don't take anything for granted because it can be gone just like that. I was lucky and blessed to be brought up in a family that with love and an opportunity. They gave me an opportunity to play sports. They gave me an opportunity to help me go to the games, go to practices, and that's what started me on the right path. Plus, you want to give back. You want to do something that's going to be beneficial for you in the future. So I knew that was an avenue. I knew I was a pretty good athlete growing up. That was an avenue I could hopefully get better at and make it professionally.
Let's talk about baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you started out very early, right? Yeah. When did you find out exactly what your niche was in baseball? Okay, because when you come up in Little League, you play everything, right? When did you finally get that? Let's talk about baseball a little bit.
When I threw harder than everybody else. I knew when I threw harder than everybody else and I hit the ball farther than everybody else. I knew I was going to be a pretty good player at that time.
Right.
But you know what? As you get older, everyone gets bigger, stronger, and does it just as much as you, or even better. So that's what you learn as you get older, and it's fun. That competition's fun. It makes you tougher, makes you better.
And what do you think that today, a lot of other brothers, the African American, young people are really not going towards baseball as much as they used to. Back then.
Yeah, it's hard, because to play basketball, to get better, you just need yourself in a basketball.
Right.
If you want to get better, you need at least 3. Because when I was growing up, a lot of people didn't play either. So we would go down to the baseball field and cut the baseball field in half and say you can only hit the ball to left field or right field, and have a pitcher, a shortstop, and a left fielder. And if you caught the ball before it bounced twice, it's an out. The ball got through the infield, obviously base hit. But we used to play half the field and made it fun and competitive. But nowadays it's hard to find enough people to enjoy playing that. Plus, the weather up here makes it tough too. Yeah. Like if you're down south, you have great weather all year. You can do stuff outside more. Out here, it's the weather's so cold. So I mean, like with rain today, rain tomorrow, and you don't know when you can be outside and enjoy the weather. And basketball, you're indoors. It's those things help determine how I chose my path. But it also, I mean, it slowed me down in other ways too. But I'd also think if you play more sports, number one, you don't burn yourself out. Number two, you work on other fundamentals of a game: better hand-eye coordination, better footwork, toughness, mental toughness, using your mind to learn how to figure things out without doing the same thing every day. So I mean, there's so many different ways you get better at playing different sports.
Right. Quite.
So understanding, like you was talking about playing different sports, baseball, basketball. How was that transition from playing in UConn and playing in in the major leagues, and also saying, you know what, I want to be dedicated to play basketball? How was that transition going from UConn to the professional ranks of baseball?
I think, my parents, being around it with my dad, bringing me to different places that gave me the opportunity to see professional teams play or high level colleges play, got my juices flowing, got me excited about sports. I think Coach Calhoun, then going to a high level basketball program, playing against some of the best players in the country in the Big East, prepared me for what the next step is going to be like. Because when you play against the greats of the Big East, and then you want to be make the next step, you see Alonzo, Dikembe, Derek Coleman, Malik Sealy. You see those great players get drafted to the NBA, and you're like, that could be me if I work at it and put my mind to it and stay on the right path of being focused on just being a successful athlete while going to school. That's how I knew that's what I wanted to do. But then once you get there, you better keep on improving, because every day someone's hungrier or better than is going to be hungrier or better than you, and they're coming for your job. And once you get professional, it becomes the world gets involved, because players come from all over the world, and you better be trying to get better every day.
Well, I remember the Big East during that period, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting for me was I knew you were going to be good in the in NBA, because you were playing against all those guys that ended up going to the NBA with you.
Yes.
Right. So you were already familiar with them, and they were successful. Of course, all of you had to decide, hey, listen, I'm a pro now, right?
Yes.
So it's a complete different ballgame. But all of you guys, most of you had long careers, and you were able to play against them, and you knew them, right? So I knew that was going to happen. So let's talk about first day of practice as a pro basketball.
Yes.
Tell me about that day.
It's so funny. Yesterday, I talked to the guy who taught me my first lesson. It was Eddie Johnson.
Okay.
Eddie Johnson played at Phoenix, played for like 16 years in the NBA.
Yes.
He lives in Phoenix now. He does a radio show. So I did his radio show yesterday out in Chicago. Excuse me, in New York, by the phone. But like, he was my first mentor, and he was like this. I was like young, energetic, athletic, can do a lot of things. But this dude was like 30-something years old and gave me my lesson. Every day would teach me a lesson. He wasn't quick, but he knew how to play, knew how to score, knew the ins and outs of the game, and he gave me my lesson every day. And I remember one day I could not stop him. I couldn't stop him. So this is with Lonzo, Larry Johnson, Muggsy Bogues, Hershey Hawkins, Johnny Newman, Kendall Gill. So I remember we go over to the water bottle, and I'm like, damn, how do I stop this dude? He's like 34 at the time too, and I'm 24.
He was tough, man.
Yeah, young and athletic, play D. I'm like, I can't stop him. He goes, ba-ding, ba-ding, class dismissed. Scott, that was your first lesson for today, and like the whole team started laughing. It was true though. Like, it was a lesson, and every day you got to get better, and you learn from players that are better than you. And I love that. Love that about sports.
Well, you did play for my Charlotte Hornets, so I appreciate it. You know,
no, thank you. Appreciate it.
Charlotte Hornets fan back in the day.
Good days too. Good old days.
You know, now I think that people are knowing that sports is about a business. You know, when did you realize that, you know what, this is a business, and I have to not only perform as a player, but I have to also handle my business?
I think when I played in Charlotte, you know, I was doing well my first couple of years. I started having a lot of injuries, which slows you down. I mean, rehab. I mean, I had like 13 surgeries in 8 years in the NBA.
Wow.
So, yeah, it slows you down. It mentally wears you down. But at the same time, you got to get back. That's your job. And, you know, when you do come back and you're healthy, you're not going to be the same person. I wasn't the same person each time I had a surgery. It took a little something from me each time. But you still got to do your job and be professional. And I remember one day I was maybe not playing as hard because maybe I was sore or something. And Alan Bristow, my coach at the Hornets, like, hey, you got to step on this court and get better every day if you want to improve and stay in this league. And that's what I remember, you know, from him telling that. We were in Houston at practice one day, and I remember him saying that. And I appreciate him telling me that because it's true. It's a business. If you don't want to stay in this league, don't work or hang out and don't do the right things to take care of your body. Because, like I said, there's hungry brothers that want that job, hungry people that want that job all over the world.
And to that end, I always wanted to ask this question. What is it about the home court advantage that is so prevalent in the NBA? Talk to me about the travel and the back-to-backs and all of that.
Yeah, it's just comfort. You know the rims, you know the gyms, you know the angles, you know the glass. Like one thing about Chicago, when I played Chicago, I don't know what they did to the glass, but if you didn't know how slippery that glass was, you can go for a normal, regular layup. Take your time. If you hit the square, it would slide across the glass, and you would miss it. So you got to hit before the square, and it will slip into the rim. But like little things like that, you have to know about your court. And plus, the most important thing is your fans. They bring you energy. If you play a lot of back-to-back games, you play 5 games to 7 nights, you're tired. But your fans bring you the energy. They get you up for the game. The adrenaline starts flowing. The injuries and the soreness and tightness goes away, and you just go out there and compete for them and your teammates.
All right, so here we go. That day when they came in there and told you were getting traded.
Oh, well, how about this? They don't come and tell you. I was on my first trade, my first time I got traded.
Yes.
I was in Charlotte on the massage. I was getting stretched out, and I was on the massage table. My GM calls me. I answer, Scott, this is Bob Bass. You've been traded to Golden State. Goodbye. Click. That's how they do it. That's how they did it. And next thing you know, Golden State called me, said, you know, you're coming out here. So I met Golden State. I had to meet Golden State up in Detroit the first time I got traded. And you're happy. I just bought a house in Charlotte. So I was happy in North Carolina. I like playing for that team. Good guys, good coaching staff. But obviously I wasn't part of their plans. And that's another way I knew it's a business. And like if I was doing my job and I was better at it, I wouldn't have gotten traded. But sometimes things are out of your hands. You just got to learn from it.
Right.
But that's how it happened.
And then
Bob
of
Banks
course,
here. You got traded to Golden State. They're going to call you. Have a good day. Good luck. Click.
all right. So how about the phone call that you're going to play with Michael Jordan?
That happened late. That's when you get excited, but that's when you start getting nervous too at the same time. Yeah.
Do you know who you got traded for?
Dickie Simpkins.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dickie Simpkins. I'm friends with Dickie. I talked to Dickie yesterday too. So I'm good friends with Dickie. Yeah, I'll tell you, Dickie came to visit UConn when I was there to play there when I was his host. I was host for a little while, but I gave him the Lyman to Priest, and Lyman, I guess he didn't have a great time with Lyman, and he ended up going to Providence. I did my job, so he was happy with me. But then he ended up going to Providence, had a great career there. But we still became friends.
Yeah, he did.
I got traded for Dickie, but then Dickie came back at the end of the season in Chicago for Jason Caffey. So it was good to see Dickie come back, and I played with Dickie for half the year at least. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I got another question. Mark, yeah.
No, I was saying, so with the documentary out, you know, as everybody's watching it, I was able to take a look at it. How accurate and how did you like the depiction and everything that you saw?
I loved it. I mean, the first 2 episodes, I loved. I love. People don't understand. MJ doesn't do interviews. When he does an interview, it's like it's speech for the Hall of Fame. He's going to be honest. He's going to be intense. He might not like what he's going to say or he's going to do, but at least you're hearing from him because you never hear from MJ. Right. And that's what makes him so great and so his legacy is so awesome because he's not out on Twitter every second speaking or tweeting. And it just, you never hear anything from him. He's one of the biggest businessmen in the world with brand Jordan. Doesn't even play anymore, and people buy his shoes more than any other brand. Yep. I just think it's amazing to hear him speak. It just gives me, like, you want to play again. You know, I just, like, he's so intense. It was a great time playing with that team. Great time.
So what about the whole rock star, all the people and you know, just a distraction, man? How did you handle that?
You know, it wasn't really a distraction. The cameras being there every day wasn't a distraction. It was amazing to see when you travel how many fans were at the hotel or followed the bus or just wanted to get a glimpse of Michael, Scotty, or Dennis. That's amazing and awesome. But you knew you better perform on the court or you're going to feel the wrath of MJ the next day at practice or during the game. Okay. So your only distraction, your only focus was to win, help that team get better and do your job. And obviously I was new to the team. I was going to struggle. I was one of the only few new guys on the team, but I got a lot of minutes. And you were always worried about learning the offense, not making mistakes. So I was never really comfortable for the first couple of months. And, you know, I was always a step behind. Like, and you'll see later on in the documentary, he rides me hard, rides me every day on and off the court. But he rides you. He was riding me. He wanted me to be great, wanted me to be better, wanted me to be prepared to help the team. So like, and I tell all my a lot of kids are gonna say when they see this, oh, how'd you let him talk junk to you? I would have kicked his butt. I would have kicked his butt. All right, now let's think about it. Me fighting Michael gets me either kicked out of the league or it's just traded from the team. How am I benefiting my family, my life, or being part of something special? Or should I compete, be better, learn from what he's telling me? He's not doing this to fight me or doesn't want to fight me. He's doing this to make me a better player, mentally and tougher, and physically tougher, but to prepare me to help him when he needs me to do something. So, I mean, it's just like, that's something like kids have to understand. People push you because they think you have potential. If they don't push you, they don't want anything to do with you. And that's when you're really in trouble. So if someone's trying to help you in life to make you a better person, a better player, take that advice, take it, absorb it, let it absorb into your head, and use it. It doesn't matter how it's said to you. He might yell, he might talk calmly to you. In the heat of a battle, sometimes you can't be composed and relaxed. Say, just play harder next time. No, you have 82 games. Goes on to 81, 80, 79. You lose a few games, your playoff seedings change. You got to be prepared every night and do your job every night, and do it at the best of your ability. So, like he yelled at me. I loved it. I mean, I never got down. I never thought of he's abusing me or verbally assaulting me. It's a part of learning. If you think you're too good to be yelled at, you got something else coming to you. No matter who you are, you got to be pushed no matter who you are.
Well, it's interesting because when we watched you play throughout your career, one thing about you is that you always work hard during the game. You were always hustling, diving for balls, running up and down the court. But of course, practice is different, right? And there are some players that you see them do that, but then in practice, it's a different story, or their work ethic after practice, how much time they spend. Tell me how watching Mike, because, you know, he's legendary, as well as Kobe and even LeBron now, legendary for the workouts, right? Talk about that.
Every morning he lifted weights with Scotty and Ron Harper, like 7 o'clock. Then he'll come to practice. He never missed a day, never had an excuse. This is a man who played 40-something minutes every game, got triple teamed, got abused by other teams, never took a day off, never had an excuse. And if you try to take a day off, he would let you have it. So if the best player on your team is leading your team by example, you better step up and follow. And that's what kids don't understand today. I mean, sometimes, like even during the lockout, we play 3 games in 3 nights sometimes. Nowadays, guys can't practice a certain amount of hours. They can't have too many back-to-back games. They get a rest day. It's unbelievable, and the game's not physical. So, and the game's really 3-point line. Exactly. So it's not like you're running the full end of the court, length of the court. So I mean, it's changed now, but it was so much more mentally and physically draining and tough back in the day. And the 3-point line has changed. It's really utilized now than it was. But there's good shots and bad shots, no matter if it's 2 or 3.
Right. So the triangle, right?
That was my question. Yeah.
Yeah, he was ready for that too. So the triangle. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go ahead.
It's easy if you know it, if you've run it for a while. But for me, I was new with a bunch of guys that ran it for 3 years straight, or for 5 years, because they won 5 out of 7 championships.
Right.
So I'm like I said, I'm a step behind everything. I'm nervous to be with this team, number one. I don't know anyone really that well. I just played against them. There's no friendship that I can gravitate to make myself feel better. So, and the first day you get practice, MJ's like, "Oh, Scott Burrell." First of all, he called me Scott Burrell. If someone calls you by your full name and you're his teammate the first day of practice, he knows nothing about you and doesn't give a damn about you. So when I heard my whole name the first practice, I'm like, oh damn, this is gonna be a long practice already. So he goes, and it's gonna be in the film, in the documentary. He goes like, you thought the best part about your trade, you didn't have to play me. You only play me 3 or 4 times a year. He said, but now you got to deal with me every day. And I was like, oh boy, he's right. So it's like, it was tough. The triangle is a great offense for guys who know their roles. Like we had 3 great scorers, Michael, Scotty, and Tony Kukoc. After that, Kerr was a great spot-up shooter. I was a very good spot-up shooter. Bill Wennington, a pick-and-pop shooter. Dennis Rodman, great passer. So it was a great offense for that team they put together. But everyone has to know their responsibilities, but it's all predicated on a pass. So there's no calls to it. I mean, there's some certain secret calls, but everything's mostly predicated on a pass. So they're throwing the ball around, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, all right, if the ball goes there, I need to go over here or cut this way. But they're just doing it flowingly. And I'm thinking about it. So I'm a step behind. So like in the first episode, there's one play, they throw it to me in the post, and he said, what are you waiting for? And I was like, I didn't know what to say to him. So I said, I was waiting for the double team. He's like, what? And he cuts me out. What are you waiting for the double team for? I'm like, bottom line, I didn't know the offense, so I didn't know what the hell to do with the ball. So I'm like, so I was just watching everybody cut this way, that way. I'm like, all right, now the shot clock's running. So like later, I think in the later episode, he blocks that shot like I was like a 2-year-old, because I didn't know what to do, because I was like looking around, and I turn around and shot it. He just punches it. I fall to the floor. I'm like, wow, that's embarrassing. But I couldn't react. I couldn't play instinctive basketball because I was always reacting late for the first few months, trying to learn the offense and trying to just fit in.
Right. So, and then you finally got it. I figured it out. And I had some, comfortable times and some good games during that year. So I was happy. Yeah.
Now, I know people don't like to say this, but if you were to play in today's league, man, how well would you do?
Oh, because I could shoot, and I could play D. So I would have a good time. Like I went out to Golden State last year to watch Steve Kerr in training camp and said, Scott, this league is perfect for you right now. And I think that's a good call. I mean, I like to shoot. I like to play D. And the game's wide open. And I was a good athlete. I could run up and down the court. I would have made a lot more money, and I would have had someone stretching me. I would have someone cook my meals. I would have been a lot better. My body would have been a lot healthier.
Yeah. So tell me about how your whole experience has finally got you in your journey to now coach, right? Talk about that and the influences and your philosophy.
Yeah, that's a great question. My influences starts with my family. Coach Cowan, huge influence. Phil Jackson, huge influence. I think I played with like 11 Hall of Fame players in my career. Played for like 6 Hall of Fame coaches. So I think I take something from all of them and try to mold it into how to teach people, when to push people, when to pull back, when to coddle people. Like nowadays, it's tougher now because there's so many mental health issues with people. So you gotta be careful how hard you push people, because you don't really get to know kids until you get them on the court because you recruit them. You don't really know them that well until you get them on the court. You're coaching them. You see how much they could take. You can see the kids that want to be pushed, the kids that have a quick fuse. So it's really tough, but you have to learn how to figure out how to work with people and try to get the most out of people. But that's what I love about the challenge, because what I've learned, I want to pass on to people. Whether it's, I want people to graduate college, be successful on the court, but be able to walk into society and better their lives after they're done playing.
Still go out there and try to show them that you still got that shot?
I used to, but I was supposed to have a hip replacement 3 weeks ago, but the virus, COVID-19 really affected that, changed that for me. So hopefully this the peak of the virus starts going down and I can get my essential hip surgery. So hopefully I can do that next month or something.
Absolutely. Marquette.
Well, going into next season, because I know that this season, for Southern is definitely, over.
Mm-hmm.
Being at Southern is one of the best colleges in the world. Got 2 degrees from there, by the way.
I like to hear that. That's good stuff. Thank you.
What are you looking forward to for next season that you guys weren't able to do this season?
I think, well, number one, we've been beat up a lot in the last few years. Like our leading scorer towards ACL, not the year we just ended, the year before, late in the year. So he was healthy halfway through the season, Hewlin Coleman, halfway the season, worked out practice all year, but it wasn't worth bringing him back for half a year to use up to just use his athletic ability. So we redshirted him. So having him back, having a scorer, Greg Jones coming back, a all rookie team, Lyron Bennett, point guard coming back, and all the other guys CJ Seaforth, who had a very good year 2 years ago, might have got a little lost this year, but he's going to have another great year next year from Hampden.
Yep.
I think we have a lot of talent with some new guys coming in. We have a lot of talent, and guys, I think that they're hungry to be on top of the conference again. We finished like 3rd last year, but that's not winning it. And our goal is to win our conference, make the NCAA tournament. And I think the guys, Isaiah Boissard coming back, and we have a good nucleus. We just got to go out there and play every night, get better in practice, and have the same common goal, and play. They got to play for each other.
When you got that ring, man, tell us about that day.
Well, the day wasn't that special when I got the ring, but winning the ring was special.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny you said that, because usually they have a ring ceremony and you go back to get it, but it was a lockout the next year.
That's right.
They mailed us our rings. So yeah. I mean, it was great to get it, and I was in New Jersey at the time. It was great to get it. But winning the championship was the ultimate goal for any athlete, to win your last game. And it was all like the whole the year was so stressful for me, for the whole team. But they've been there before. This is my first time being in the championship in the finals, where every pass counted, every shot mattered. You couldn't turn the ball over. The game wasn't loose like it is now. And you knew what was at stake. The legacy of the Bulls, going for 6 championships in 8 years. Michael, you knew it was the last dance. Mike, all those guys, the team was going to break up. Everyone was a free agent, and they weren't going to resign anyone. So you knew how stressful it was. But once you win that last game and the horn goes off, I promise it's the most stress-releasing thing ever. You felt like you had the weight of the world on your shoulders, but I promise you, I honestly felt like it was just taken off your back. Like it was just washed from your body, and now you're the best team in the world, and you play with the best players in the world, and it's an unbelievable feeling. And if you have something that no one could ever take away from you, and you have something that opens up doors. Like I said, I don't know if I would have been an NBA champion, a head coach in college, if I didn't have that championship ring.
Well, brother, I want to thank you, man, for coming on with us. And
No problem.
I know that when I spoke to you about this, you said that you had spoke to Mike and you were complaining to him about, oh, so now you got me with 50 interviews all over the place.
This is my 5th one today.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I'm on, and I just got a call. I got to go Good Morning America on Monday. So,
is that right?
Yeah. So it's good
thank
stuff.
you, man. And also, man, we've always been very proud of you, man. And the reputation that you have in this community is not really all about the sports, man. It's the fact that, you have a great family and they taught you well. And you've always been a real stand-up and moral cat, man. And that's what we love about you, brother.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And it's my honor to be here with you guys too as well. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I love my mom and dad. They've done a lot for me. And I appreciate everything they provided for me.
Scott, thank you so much, man. All right, my brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it, gentlemen.
Family, and stay safe, brother.
You too. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, guys.